Welcome back. Here we are at lesson 5. So still the kids don't need any music stands. So, whenever they don't need music stands, I just assume not have them because they're kind of getting in the way. So we'll bring those on when they need to read some music. So don't worry about that for this lesson. So we're going to start out the lesson. I usually like to start out the lesson playing something that they have in their head already and that they've been practicing, right? They've been practicing this week. So we're going to start out with the Skip to My Lou variations, which is something that they've been practicing. And for the younger children, I am going to, they just know the variations as animal variations, right? Flies in the sugar bowl, as per the book that we just read, and so on. And so what we're going to do, and I usually like to have them stand up. So I like to have them stand for this first warming up period and playing what they know, and we're practicing it. So it's going to sound better and better. So boys and girls, let's play Flies in the Sugar Bowl or Skip to My Lou variations, right? Do you remember we're going to do this on D, and we're going to do it on A, okay? So let's give that a whirl. And I'll probably set up my little percussion beat. This one happens to be at 90, which is pretty comfortable to me today, but again, you can adjust it according to what is easiest for your children. So here we go. We're going to do it. They're going to be playing, of course, the open string accompaniment, which crosses strings. And I'm going to be playing the melody, and we're going to see if we can fit that together very smoothly and nicely. And if they're having struggling over that last string crossing, you practice that a little bit, then maybe try it again until you feel like everybody is pretty confident with that. And you're going to be looking at your children to say, Billy, he's playing that really, really well, and I think he would not be, he could probably do it by himself. So kind of eye your children to see who's really succeeding and enjoying it. And then today, boys and girls, I'm going to be teaching you about solos and tutis. So this is kind of cool. So what's a solo? Well, and some of them will know what that is. So let's write that on the board. What is a solo? Well, that's when one person plays, right? A solo is when one person plays. But what should we call it when we all play together? Well, there's a word called tutti. And it's kind of a cool word because you see it in music a lot, but have you ever heard of that word? No, because it's not really an American word. It's not an English word. It's an Italian word. It's a word that they use in Italy, but music has a lot of Italian words in it, and so it's way shorter and way cooler to say tutti when we mean play all together. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, you could either last for volunteer or you could assign whoever you feel is confident, like Billy, for instance, and he's going to play the first 3 lines as a solo, and then everybody's going to play the ending tutti, right? So you're going to try that, and whoever's playing the solo gets to choose on what strings they're going to play the solo on. And you're going to change around the animal variation. So what would you like to play, Mary? Would you like to play Roosters in the Pantry, Cock-a-doodle-doo? What strings would you like to play it on? And then the tutti kids get to find the ending strings. So that's going to test their ears a little bit, too. And so that's kind of a nice little introduction to solos and tutis, and also introducing them in a kind of a casual way, playing for each other. Now, if you've got the older kids, they know their own, they've just composed their own variations, right? And you're going to have them on the board again so that they can read them. But what you're going to do is you're going to have the composer of that variation perform the solo, and then the rest of the class will play the tutti for the ending. And again, you can have whoever's playing their variation decide on what strings they want to play in, because we want to have everybody practice on all of the strings. And until everybody's had a turn to play their variation, solos, and tutis. Now, we're done with solos and tutis. And they just played Paw Paw Patch last week, right? And so now we're going to get that on the violin and get some really great technique going. And so I would ask them, so we played Paw Paw Patch and we better sing it again. So, where, oh, where is sweet little Susie? So how would I write that? So I'm going to kind of look over my shoulder and say, where is sweet little Susie? And they're getting pretty good by now at this. So you probably don't even need heartbeats anymore. So they're just going to tell you, ta, 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 dee, dee, ta, ta, right? Then how many times do we do where, oh, where is sweet little Susie? Well, it's kind of like the skip to my loo, right? So they're going to do it 3 times. So we got the same rhythm. We write that out 3 times. And then what's the ending? Way down yonder in the Paw Paw Patch. So here's the ending. So how would I write that? You kind of look over your shoulder, say, because you're not going to write it until they tell you, right? Da, da, tee, 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 tee. Ta, ta, ta. Rest. Right. We're going to be talking about bar lines next week, or very soon. All right, so now we're going to play this one like we did skip to my loo. This line, we're going to put this line on the D string, this line on A, this line on D again, and then we're going to go A, and then here's the string crossing at the end. All right. What this does actually is you're not really going to make it conscious, but what it's doing is giving them a harmonic sense, a chord change. Like I say, you're not going to call attention to it, but they're automatically hearing that, hearing the root tones here, right? So it's all going to make sense and sound good. All right, so we're going to derive that rhythm, writing it on the board, and then we're going to play it. And what I would do is I would, of course, play what they're going to play with it so they get what they're doing. So let's give that a try. I think I'd probably set up, let's put the beat there, keeps everybody together. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Cross over to A. Short tas and smooth T's. That last string crossing is going to give them the most grief and to play it clean. So you might have practiced that. Let's practice that ending, maybe 2 or 3 times so that we're trying to get good at it. And then I'm going to say, do you think, boys and girls, do you think you can play it? Now I'm going to play the tune that we sang, and you're going to play the duet. Okay, ready? So we'll try that. And so I'm playing the tune, right? And it helps them. It makes it less boring. It makes it help them understand that they were playing real music. Right. And I'm going to assume that you've all got keyboard skills because you're music majors and you had to have that before you graduated from college. But it's not hard. All you got to be able to do is just play a 1 chord and a 5 chord, in this case, and play the melody. All right, so short toss, smooth TT is getting really good at that. And then I'm going to ask them, well, so do you suppose that we could play, they learned 3 verses of Paw Paw Patch, right? So what was the second verse? It was, come on, boys, let's go find her. You could. Do you suppose we could just play the words? I don't need to have them write it because we haven't learned those rhythms yet, but they could play the words, right? And so we just do that. Let's go find her. Come on, boys. Okay, so we can do all of verse 2, and how about verse 3? Picking up pawpaws, put them in a basket. All 3 verses, which gives them more to play without really having to read it. You see what I'm saying? We've made conscious some of the elements, they don't tas and TTs, but they can play, and we're working on technique now. We're working on sound, we're working on bow use, where they are in the middle of the bow. We're working on short bow strokes and smooth bow strokes, bow hands, posture. We're working on all of that stuff without their having to be, without having to read it. You see what I'm saying? And so they're enjoying it, and their brains are engaged. All right, so after we've done Paw Paw Patch, then we're going to do, remember, we talked about left hand plucky on page, let me see, what page is that? On page 8. So we talked about, so they've been introduced to this already. They've been practicing this in a private lesson a little bit. But today we could set up another, and I would probably do for left hand plucking some kind of a slower beat. Like, let's go down to 80 for this one, because this is harder. It takes more time to get it coordinated. Let's see what that sounds like. So what if we took, so I'm going to tell them, boys and girls, we're going to practice our left hand plucking and see if we can do it together. That would be something. And here's the sequence. We're going to pluck in the middle positions. Then we're going to go low positions, back to middle, and high, and then back to middle again. This is going to help them really feel a whole fingerboard. So, and let's use ta, ta, rest, rest. Okay. See, you don't have to be gorgeous with your manuscript. They get it. You know, you can be pretty amazing. So here we go. Let's do this on the A string. 1, 2, ready, go. Bounce, 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 bounce. Middle, and way up high, and then back to middle. Rest, and then you could just keep going that pattern up until you're done. All right, and so you could mix and match this around. Choose some of the other patterns. You just do this however much you feel like you want to, or the kids are engaged, just so you can kind of see how they're doing and being able to actually have that beat deadline and make those shifts happen. So, so that is actually the end of our violin playing for today. So they're going to pack up their violins, put them away, and then come right back for their singing part. So today, so in the singing class, we're going to review some of the songs and games that we did last time, like, because they're a little bit more involved. So, and also you can take the whole solo tutti idea to This Old Man. And so when you're saying, so for instance, I mean, you could say, you could give them the opportunity to decide which part they want to sing as a solo. But here's just one idea. So you've got the kids all in a line, right? And the person on in a line, okay, the person on the left is going to be child number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So child number 1 on the end of the line on the left is, you could have everybody sing, I mean, this is just one idea. Everybody sing tutti, the first part, this old man, he played one, then have the solo sing, he played knick-knack on my thumb, and then everybody tutti, with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bone, this old man came, and then you have the rolling home, and then child number 1 rolls back to the end of the line and bumps up the next child to do number 2. This old man, he played 2. And then you can help them out with, okay, which line, or, you know, you could have the solo sing the whole first part. This old man, he played 2, he played knick-knack on my shoe. Then everybody, with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bone. So so not only are they playing solo and tutti, they're singing solo and tutti. So it's kind of like a nice follow-up for that idea, and that gives them more opportunity to sing that song and play the game more. And also Paw Paw Patch, especially if you're doing the older children's version, which involves partners and in a dance form, it wouldn't hurt for them to practice that again, because that's kind of involved. They'll be a lot better the second time than they were last week on the first time. And so that's another opportunity to practice playing that game and enjoying the music and learning the song, which will make it, give them even more experience with playing it on the violin. So now that you're going to be able to teach the kids how we read and write music. And in your teacher's manual, you've got a little template to create a 5-line staff that actually fits pennies as markers for notes. Or I also have, my board is magnetic, and so it also fits this size magnet so that you can use those as notes. And you're going to give each of the children, so I put these on felt. You don't have to do that. It's kind of cool. Of course, I don't know, they all want different color. Orange, whatever. Say, I want green. You know what, it's probably better if you don't do colors, because then they don't have to argue over what color they want. But anyway, I do like the felt staffs. So you're going to make sure that each one of the children, they're seated out in front of you, and they have a felt staff in front of them. And also, I don't even know if you can get film cans anymore, but you could have some kind of container, or maybe a Ziploc bag, that you could put their collection of pennies that they're going to use as notes in. So each one of them gets a can or a bag with their note markers in it. All right? And so then we'll start. So boys and girls, when we write and we read music, we use the 5-line staff. And so this is how we count the lines. We count them from bottom to top. So here's line 1, and line 2, and line 3, line 4, and 5. And we count the spaces from the bottom to the top. Space 1, space 2, space 3, and space 4. So then I'm going to give them a little test. I'm going to say, okay, everybody take 1 penny out of your can and put it on the second line. Okay, so then you kind of check around and make sure that, and I'm not going to do this for them, I'm just showing you what they're going to do, because I want them to think it through and be able to find it. So I'm pretty confident that they know what we're doing, okay? So now put your marker on the 4th space. So they're going to find the 4th space, find the first line, find the 3rd space, etc. Until you feel like you've covered all the lines and all the spaces, and you feel like they understand what they're doing right here. So now, boys and girls, we know the song Cherry Pie. We're actually going to write it on the staff. So let's sing it first, okay? My, me, oh my, how I love my cherry pie. Right? So now, do you think we can sing it in solfa with hand signs? Let's try that. Ma, so, mi, so, mi, so, mi, so, mi. With that information, what we can do is we are going to put that so on the 3rd space. So here we go. Can you find one of your pennies? So we're going to put it on the 3rd space, and then wherever so is, the mi copycats it down lower to the lower space. If so is on a space, then mi is on a space. Okay? So, mi. I'll get my markers here. So, mi. So I am not doing this for the children up here. I'm going to see if they can figure it out for themselves. So we have some quiet time. Everybody is working out that individually, and I'll just say, when you haven't finished, raise your hand. And hopefully they'll let you, there's just enough room on this staff to kind of squish the notes together. You have to remember that they got 2 so's together, and it's there. I gotta get squishier. I'll have to turn my magnets around. There. Okay. So they got it all on the staff, and then once they've got that done, everybody's got it down there. Now we're going to touch and sing those notes. So let's with our finger, we're going to touch them. So mi, so mi, so mi, so mi. Then we're going to sing the words and touch the notes. My, me, oh my, how then to finish us off, I'm going to tell both boys and girls, we also have a staff on our hand. So here's our first line, second, third, fourth, fifth. So what if we were going to sing Cherry Pie and show where those notes are? We could find our third space by just putting my other finger right here. So, mi, so, mi, so, mi, so, mi. That is it for today. You have just written Cherry Pie on the staff of music. Congratulations. And I'd like to close the lesson maybe with another listening opportunity, some more of the Vivaldi seasons. Or, but you know what? You might have something that you want them to listen to, especially that pertains, it has some elements that they've been learning or that you'd like to expose the children to. Just remember that when you're listening that I wouldn't do it for more than about 2 minutes, an excerpt for that long for them, and let them, and give them the opportunity to move freely around the room to the music so they can express themselves with movement. So that's the end of the group lesson. And this is for them to have something to look at, but they already know it in their head. The next page, on page 12, are the rhythm duets. See how they're written? There are 2 lines that have that are on the same system, right? And so, cultivating the ability to play together in an ensemble is an important function of the group class. So we're just starting right here. So remember, but now the children are having to read. And so what I would like to do is make sure that the kids in their private lesson have started practicing these so they can actually get through the first line correctly, and being able to keep a beat, and get through the second line correctly before we make any kind of an attempt to put it together in our group class. So I'd like to have them practicing this in advance, and then we're going to, it'll be successful when we bring it together in the group class. All right, that is it for lesson 5.